soon pass away. When a plant grows alone in your garden, off the petals blooming must wither someday. So gather your treasures and all my love enduring. This would be a magical if he were mine.
In Paramount's Innocents of Paris, Maurice Chevalier was saddled with a trite and cumbersome script, and he was working in a language not his own. Yet the film was a resounding example of style triumphing over content.
Wonderful, oh it's wonderful to be in love with you. Beautiful, you're so beautiful, you haunt me all day through. Every little breeze seems to whisper Louise, birds in the trees seem to twitter Louise. Each little rose tells me it knows I love you, love you. Every little beat that I feel in my heart seems to repeat what I felt at the start. Each little sigh tells me that I adore you, Louise. Just to see and hear you is joy I never knew. But to be so near you thrills me through and through. Anyone can see why I wanted your kiss. It had to be, but the wonder is this. Can it be true someone like you could love me, Louise? Every little breeze seems to whisper Louise. Birds in the trees seem to twitter Louise. Each little rose tells me it knows I love you, I love you. Every little beat that I feel in my heart seems to repeat what I felt at the start. Each little sigh tells me that I adore you, Louise. just to see and hear you. His joy I never knew. But to be so near you thrills me through and through. Anyone can see why I wanted your kiss. It had to be, but the wonder is this. Can it be true someone like you could love me, Louise? Just to see and hear you, his joy I never knew. But to be so near you thrills me through and through. Anyone can see why I wanted your kiss. It had to be, but the wonder is this. Can it be true someone like you could love me, Louise?
Along with Chevalier, the film starred Sylvia Beecher, Russell Simpson and Margaret Livingston. Let's conclude this program with Ben Pollock and his Park Central Orchestra and another song from the film. Wait till you see Ma Cherie, and here again the vocal is by Smith Ballou.
She's mighty neat, but if you think that she is neat, wait till you see Ma Cherie. There's a doll right over there, I mean that one with the baby stare. But if you like a baby stare, wait till you see Cherie. Everyone, everywhere seems to envy me. Eyes of blue, golden hair, wait till you see Ma Cherie. There's where she and I agree. We both are fond of a family, and will we raise a family? Wait till you see Cherie.
please you, Ben Pollock.
Wait till you see Ma Cherie bringing to a conclusion program number 2 in the series If I Had a Talking Picture. Until next time, this is Alex Hehr. Hope you enjoyed the program, and goodbye to you all.
You have just enjoyed or just missed Collector's Corner, presented by Alex Hehr.
Another great Collector's Corner, Alex.
Yes, I hope you enjoyed it.
I did. I enjoyed it very much.
I'm sure our listeners did, and if they did, let's hear them.
Well, we were relaxing, having a cup of tea, and it was a nice way to have supper.
Yes, so we're moving along, and next time we present our program, it'll be program 3 in this series, but that will be to be announced.
Right.
Because
and
next week...
Bill and Jeff,
Mm-hmm.
they have great hits of the century,
Yes,
telling me.
I heard that Bill's doing it next Sunday night, and it's going to be another edition of Great Hits of the Century.
Right.
And then in a fortnight's time, John's playing a lovely Bing Crosby, because it'll be just before Christmas, and he's playing a Bing Crosby Christmas broadcast. It's the Kraft Music Hall show from the 21st of December 1944.
Oh, that should be great.
So that's lovely.
Yeah.
It's John Scott Trotter's Orchestra with Bing and a number of guests.
Couldn't be better. And Bill Bennett hadn't been well, had he? I presume he's back to good health. I hope so, Bill.
I hope so, yes, because last week Jeff did the program.
Yes, Jeff did a good job too.
He did indeed. But
Well,
what have we got at 10 o'clock?
At 10 o'clock, Paul Edward.
John Crusoe was a very competent mechanic. He was also a fairly stolid German, not given to wild utterances or emotional outbursts. So on one memorable occasion, in a moment of unbridled excitement, why did he suddenly exclaim, "Gott in Himmel, it has spoke"? You'll find out why if you listen to the next Paul Edward spot in Nostalgia Unlimited.
Coming up in 25 minutes' time at 10 o'clock.
Gott in Himmel.
Gott in Himmel.
It sounds like one of the ingredients in Jan Bartlett's Christmas cakes.
Yes. Tell us about Jan Bartlett's Christmas cakes.
Well, you must not miss ordering one of Jan's Christmas cakes, because if you tell Maureen you're a Nostalgia Unlimited listener, you will get $1 discount.
Lovely.
Off the cakes. So that's worthwhile. Give Maureen a ring now and order one of Jan's beautiful, succulent, delightful, delectable, superior. What else can we say?
Well, all of those wonderful adjectives, but they're $26 for the large size.
Yes.
Just 2.5 kilos, and then 1.6 kilos costs $19.
Well, if you're a Nostalgia listener, 25 and 18.
And 18. So that's worthwhile taking advantage of that.
And even a little further discount if you ring during office hours.
That's
You'll
right.
find another little John, if you mention John Ferguson.
That's
is.
right. But you must mention John's
John
name.
Ferguson. And we know John's listening, don't we?
We do. I spoke to him during the break, and he's at home.
And he's happy. Well, he better be happy. Well, it's on with the show at 24 minutes to 10 on 3CR Community
And
Radio.
this is my motto, our next track.
Your next track, I've lost track of it. Where
Let
are we up
a
to,
smile be your umbrella.
Oh, good motto.
This is for Ray and Joyce, and it's Frankie Carl and his orchestra to play Let a Smile Be Your Umbrella, and the label lists a vocal refrain. However, I couldn't hear it when I played it through. So here again, we've got a label which is telling us the wrong news.
Right, so we don't know?
There's no refrain. There's no vocal
Oh,
refrain.
there's no vocal refrain.
Whereas the
Oh.
label indicates a vocal refrain.
Oh, it's Mr.
He did a lot of work, vocal refrain.
He certainly did. He was a busy man. And we'll follow that with Elsie Carlyle with a lovely song she recorded in June 1932 in London. It's 11 Pounds of Heaven. And tonight this is played especially for Charles Keeney.
But firstly, here comes Frankie Carl.
Your daddy's nose, and all in all mighty like a rose. You made my life complete. Gee, but you're awfully sweet. My 11 pounds of heaven.
You're listening to Nostalgia Unlimited, part of your weekend on Community Radio 3CR. Part of my weekend.
And it's part of Bob Hammond of Seaford's weekend too.
Oh, good, Bob.
And Shirley and Charlie from West Heidelberg.
Lovely to hear from them.
And they say lovely music, enjoying the program, and they love the new time slot.
Well, that's good.
In
and
fact,
I like it too, because looking at that clock, we've only got 45 minutes to go.
You know, I'll be home at 11 o'clock instead of midnight.
End of that doona of life earlier.
Oh, absolutely.
My word.
Absolutely. And it is 16 minutes to Paul Edward time. And
yes.
In the meantime, what have we got there?
We've got a lovely song now from the late Alberta Hunter with Jack Jackson and his orchestra, and the Mitchell Parish song, which they recorded in 1934, Stars Fell on Alabama. Alberta was a unique performer and was still appearing regularly in New York night spots well into her 80s.
Good heavens.
And yes, she was. And we're playing this for Laura and Don Taylor. I hope you enjoyed this one.
And in tonight's Aussie spot, we have Jim Davidson with the ABC Dance Band. Oh, that's good. I like Jim.
Yes, he's good.
With vocal by Dick Cranbourne, and I liked Dick too. This is a good one. And this is a song from the Second World War. And in Europe, the song was popularised by Flanagan and Allen, and this recording was made in Sydney in November 1939, and of course it's Hang Out the Washing on the Siegfried Line.
But firstly, here comes Alberta Hunter.
We kissed in a field of white, and stars fell on Alabama last night. I can't forget the glamour. Your eyes held a tender light, and stars fell on Alabama last night. I never planned in my imagination a situation so heavenly, a fairyland where no one else could enter, and in the center, just you and me, dear. My heart beat like a hammer, my arms wound around you tight, and stars fell on Alabama last night.
Now, if you're listening to the program for the first time tonight, we would love to hear from you.
We would.
Really would. See, now we've just heard from Ted Stanley. He loves the program. But Ted's one of our regulars. We'd like to hear from some of you good people who don't normally ring.
You know, when you're twiddling the dial and you come across the program, now someone's done that tonight. It happens every night, everywhere, somewhere in the world. Someone's just been twiddling the dials and has come across our program and are listening to it, and I'd like to hear if that's the case.
We'd love to. Give Maureen a ring.
Yeah.
And we have time for two more numbers before Ted,
At least two.
At least two before Paul Edward.
Yes.
And what do we have? We have that 9 minutes to 10.
If I Had You.
That's for Ray Simmons, isn't it?
Yes, it's Irving Aronson and his Commanders, with a vocal refrain by Bert Lauren, and this was recorded in New York in February 1929.
And then we'll follow that with Al Jolson. We haven't had Al tonight, so some say he was the greatest performer of all time. Well, he certainly was great. And from August 1946, Al is going to sing Avalon, and he's accompanied by an orchestra conducted by Morris Stoloff. And this is a request for Dave Hutchinson of East Doncaster.
But firstly, here's Irving Aronson and his Commanders.
Skies to blue if I had you. I could leave the old days behind, leave all my pals, I'd never mind. I could start my life all anew if I had you. I could climb the snow-capped mountains, sail the muddy ocean wide. I could cross the burning desert if I had you by my side. I could be a king, dear, uncrowned, humble or poor, rich or renowned. There is nothing I couldn't do if I had you.
Till dawn.
travel on toward the Lord. Every morn my memories stray across the sea where flying fishes play. And as the night is falling, I find that I'm recalling that blissful, all-enthralling day. Beside the bay, and I sail away. I dream upon an Avalon from dusk till dawn. So I think I'll travel on to Avalon.
Well, Jolson it was.
And Charles Keeney rang to commend Alex on his Collector's Corner and says it's the best he has ever heard. Oh, you've got a big head, Alex.
No, that's one thing I never get, but
You're
that's praise
got a big
indeed.
head.
Was that Charles Keeney, was it?
That was Charles Keeney.
Thank you, Charles. That is appreciated.
And Elsie from Murrumbina liked Alberta Hunter and tells us that she was 89 in a cabaret show on Channel 2.
That's right, yes. They did film a couple of her performances not long before she died. I think she died around when she was 92.
90, good age.
Yeah, she was.
And also our good friend Jamie Kelly. Hello, Jamie.
Hi, Jamie.
I hope that baby's not screaming out there and annoying you with the program.
And our regards to Katrina too.
Yeah, lovely. And I hope the baby is lovely and growing bigger.
I'm
sure.
Naturally. I'm sure. And is that the last one you've got?
That's the last one.
All right, and I've got two here. Irene Sales. Irene has listened for many years, and she wouldn't miss it for the world. And she's a new ringer-inner. You know when we said before?
Yes.
So,
good.
Irene, thank you for that. That's lovely to hear from you. Now, if you want a record played at any time, you just give Maureen a call, and I'll be happy to play one for you.
Probably she'd like Goodnight Irene, I suppose.
The Weavers, but don't ask for that. My copy's terrible.
Oh, well, don't ask for that
Oh,
one.
gee whiz. I'll have to get a new one. I just got it out the other day and it's very scratched, but never mind. And Michael Watkins is also enjoying the program. So Michael, thank you for ringing in, taking the time to all those people who've rung in. Terrific. Now we've got to talk about Christmas cakes, and we'll get that in just before Paul Edward.
And have we got a message there about
the Christmas cake message? Look, why don't we do this? I think we can do that quite easily.
Quick on the mark.
Jan Bartlett's Christmas cakes are now on sale, but be warned, they are going fast. To secure your cake for this Christmas, call now on 419-8377 and place your order. Remember last year they sold out very quickly, so to avoid disappointment, buy now. $26 secures a 2.5 kilo cake or $19 for the 1.6 kilo variety. These cakes are simply delicious. Remember, Jan Bartlett's Christmas cakes, a 3CR tradition. There we are.
Yes, you caught us chatting there.
We're having good old chinwag as the music fades out.
Yeah,
but still, those Christmas cakes are terrific, and I'm going to have one this year.
Oh,
I've got my family.
I have one every year.
It's my turn to have the family, so I'll have about 14 around the Christmas lunch table.
Oh, that'll be lovely.
So I'm sure they'll enjoy that.
I think you'll have to buy two.
Yeah, although, I could do
You
that.
can't be too miserable, Alex, just cutting little thin slices.
No, I'm not miserable.
Well, the time is now 10 o'clock and it is time for Paul Edward.
So here's Paul.
Hello there, Paul Edward here. In today's look back into the history of radio, we're going right back, more than 100 years. Back to the invention of a device without which no radio station could operate. In fact, without which a huge industry, would never have existed. We've called this little program Gott in Himmel, it have spoke. The man who uttered that excited exclamation was a German mechanic called John Kruse. But what induced John Kruse to say, Gott in Himmel, it have spoke? Well, he was present at a momentous moment in the history of science. He was in a workshop at a place called Menlo Park, New Jersey, in the United States of America. The date, the 18th of August, 1877. John Kruse was standing alongside a man who had just turned the handle on a primitive machine which Kruse had constructed according to this man's crude specifications. And from this machine there emanated a strange sound, like this.
Mary had a little lamb, its fleece as white as snow, and everywhere that Mary went, the lamb was sure to...
Yes, as the German mechanic Kruse exclaimed, it have spoke. It was the world's first phonograph, and the man who had invented it, Thomas Alva Edison, was the reciter of Mary Had a Little Lamb. That crude machine was the forerunner of the gramophone, which of course today has given way to the compact disc player. Edison's first phonograph recorded the sound on a piece of tinfoil wrapped around a cylinder, but that soon gave way to a more practical wax cylinder. The gramophone, using the flat disc with which we're all familiar, was actually developed by a German inventor, Emil Berliner, and he patented his invention in 1887. But Edison's phonograph was the first machine to talk. I feel I have a slight personal affiliation with the phonograph because my father, who was an electrical engineer, once constructed a replica of Edison's first machine, the one that recorded the sound on a sheet of tinfoil wrapped around a cylinder, and for years when I was a schoolboy, the machine resided in my bedroom. We never had it working because we couldn't purchase the tinfoil for it, so I never had the opportunity of saying, Gott in Himmel, it have spoke, or saying anything else about it for that matter, except to complain that it was taking up a bit too much space in my bedroom. gives promise of great usefulness in the future. Well, you might describe that as a masterpiece of understatement, but it was as a toy, a fair-grown novelty, that the phonograph first made its appearance in Australia. We are at a fair and industrial exhibition at a town in Western Victoria. The year 1897.
Ladies and gentlemen, we see and hear the greatest discovery of the world's greatest inventor. The world's greatest artists within your reach for a few pence. 2 items for 6pence. That's all it costs. Right this way, ladies and gentlemen, right this way.
The place? Warrnambool in Western Victoria. The spruiker, a young man called Thomas Rome, spelt R-O-M-E, who had a stand at the Warrnambool Industrial Exhibition of that year. He was demonstrating the phonograph, this particular one recording on a wax cylinder, and people were invited to come up and sing or recite, and then hear themselves as the cylinder was played back. The sound was played back to them along a rubber tube, which terminated in an earplug. It is from this Warrnambool exhibition of 1897 that Australia's oldest known recording has survived. The artist is a Warrnambool shopkeeper, a Mr. J.J. Villiers. And what did Mr. Villiers record for his debut on Edison's phonograph? An operatic aria? A soulful ballad? No, something much more down to earth. Mr. Villiers recorded his imitation of a chook in a little piece called The Hen's Convention. Here it is. That was Australia's oldest known recording, The Hen's Convention, performed by Mr. J.J. Villiers and recorded by Thomas Rome in Warrnambool in 1897. Incidentally, we'd like to thank the Victorian Performing Arts Museum for making available some of the historic material used in this program. Well, that's all for now. See you next time.
Well, we only have 24 minutes of nostalgia to go.
10:06.
10:06. And following us at 10:30, of course, be listening for Stan Ladd and Arthur Badley with Let the Bands Play, a great hour of bandology. And now we have something that I like very much, a lovely Irving Berlin waltz medley with Ivor Morton and Dave Kay. And they play I Can't Remember, What Does It Matter, and Because I Love You. They recorded this for Parlophone in London in August 1936, and we're playing this for Stan Barton of McKinnon.
Then Jack Hilton and his orchestra with the vocal of Peggy Dell and a nice arrangement of another Irving Berlin hit, Now It Can Be Told. And we're playing this 1938 recording tonight for Dorothy Barton of McKinnon.
The Bartons
so
of
the
McKinnon.
Bartons, there they are, one after the other. But firstly, here comes Ivor Morton and Dave Kay.
Now that we have met, the world may know the sentimental story. The greatest romance they ever knew is waiting to unfold. Now it can be told as an inspiration. Every other tale of boy meets girl is just an imitation. A great love story has never been told before, but now it can be told.
Now it can be told.
It can indeed.
It can be told that we have hundreds of Nostalgia Unlimited listeners and they're loving the program. One Night of Love. Well, Frank Parker and Marion Marlowe with Archie Blair and his orchestra come to the program to play and sing the title song from the movie One Night of Love. You may remember the film starred Grace Moore and Tullio Caminati. Oh, you say that rather well, Alex. I can see you've been to an Italian restaurant, haven't you?
Yes, I'll have number 4.
Yeah. This song is played tonight especially for our good friend Edward Everett.
And then there's no one with endurance like the man who sells insurance. Frank Crummett with a studio orchestra and somewhat of a novelty song, which were very much in vogue in the 30s when this was recorded, and it's played tonight for Tom Farnan of Fitzroy. Tom, you rang in before, you're still listening, I hope, and I hope you're going to enjoy Frank Crummett. But firstly, here comes Frank Parker and Marion Marlowe.
For only one night of love, one starlit night, one night of love, one night of love, when two hearts are one. When love is on.
as happy as a squirrel in the tree, till a man who sold insurance made a nervous wreck of me. He followed me persistently, and if I'm put away, that bird who sold insurance made me what I am today. Oh, there's no one with endurance like the man who sells insurance. He's everybody's best friend. He will follow you and fret you, but remember he will get you, for he gets us all in the end. In spite of every way I tried to leave him in the lurch, he chased me into subways and he followed me to church. I even spent the night in jail in my desire to hide, but in the morning George Insurance waited just outside. Oh, there's no one with endurance like the man who sells insurance. He's everybody's best friend. He'll be sweeter than molasses, but when he puts on his glasses, well, he gets us all in the end. One day at Coney Island, when I went in for a swim, a man swam up beside me who was no one else but him. Said he to me, I'm glad to see you love the ocean wave, but our 20-year endowment is the only way to save. Oh, there's no one with endurance like the man who sells insurance. He's everybody's best friend. He's always bright and snappy, and no wonder that he's happy, for he gets us all in the end. One day I saw him coming, so I quickly climbed a tree. But George Insurance saw me too, and he climbed up after me. Said he to me up in the tree, I'm fond of nature too, but our 20-year endowment is the policy for you. Oh, there's no one with endurance like the man who sells insurance. He's everybody's best friend. And the harder that you make it, believe me, he can take it, for he gets us all in the end.
Here we are, Frank Crummett.
Yeah, that was, we don't often feature him, so that was...
The man who sells insurance. He had a lot of those funny little songs. Donald the Dub was one, and The Tale of the Ticker was another one of the ones which I particularly like.
Yeah, little ditties.
Yes, and he was married to Julia Sanderson, who was a very big star of the Broadway theatre.
Right. Right, oh, that was a change. Nice change. 20 minutes past 10.
Yes, we've got time for, I think, probably, yes, we'll get two in, and then our closing theme prior to the next program, which is Let the Bands Play.
Right. Well, the Sam Coslow composition, Last Night's Gardenias, is sung tonight by Dick Todd. We haven't had Dick tonight.
Nope.
He recorded this in October 1939 in New York, and we're playing this tonight for Neil Healy and Jim and Betty Page of East Bentley.
Yeah, we've bracketed those together because they're both Dick Todd fans.
Oh, they love Dick.
They do. And then we've got Where You Are for Charles of Northcote. And this is Sam Brown with J. Wilbur Band to play and sing the Gordon Warren hit Where You Are. Not Where Are You, it's Where You Are. I got confused when I was typing that out.
I think there is another tune called Where Are You?
There is, indeed, but this is called Where You Are,
yes.
And it's on Rex. And this was recorded in August 1941. But firstly...
Dick Todd.
When I awoke this morning, the very first thing I saw were two little white gardenias you were wearing the night before. Last night's gardenias have wilted and lost their bloom, but somehow their faint perfume view is lingering in my room. For last night's gardenias are lonely, and so am I. Tonight I can hear them sigh. They echo your last goodbye. Their lovely fragrance follows me everywhere. I close my eyes and suddenly you are there. Darling, last night's gardenias will never be tossed away. I'll keep them in my bouquet of dreams. Gardenias will never be tossed away. I'll keep them in my bouquet of dreams.
nearly time to say goodnight.
It is, but we've got a couple of people that have rung in late, so we better acknowledge those. Flash Gordon, great show. Love Collector's Corner. Thank you, Flash. And Dan Barton, thanks for the request. It's my pleasure.
And Joyce Caldwell rang to say hello to Les and Alex. And Marjorie of Heidelberg said it was a superb Collector's Corner. A superb program.
And your next program is Let the Bands Play and Stan's in the studio.
And I've been tuned into you, Alex and Les. Great program. Really enjoyed it. Terrific.
Thanks very much indeed, Stan.
And next Sunday night, Bill Bennett and Jeff Lasbury will be back for Nostalgia
Unlimited
and Collector's Corner.
And in a fortnight's time, your good self with John
Ferguson. So
okay, so
this
we'll look
is
forward
Les
to that.
Egan over here saying good night.
And this is Alex Hehr over here saying good night, and stay tuned for Let the Bands Play.
Good night to all policemen as down the street they creep. We hope you find a cozy spot in which to have a sleep. Good night to all the burglars, are cracking all the cribs. You seem the only fellows who are finding all the dibs. Good night, everyone, you've earned your daily bread. Good night and so to bed. Good night to all the postmen who call at our address with welcome little letters that are marked to HMS. Good night to all the firemen, we hope you're safe and well, although you go to blazes every time you ring your bell. Good night everyone, you've earned your daily bread. Good night and so to bed. Good night to all the highbrows, we think it is a lark to play what we are playing when you're wanting Mr. Bark. Good night to all our authors who write us books galore, and though we don't know which is best, we know one who is sure. Good night everyone, you've earned your daily bread. Good night and so to bed. Good night to taxi drivers who drive us day and night and never lose their tempers but are always most polite. Good night to everybody we haven't named before. Just make a rhyme up for yourselves, we don't know anymore. Good night everyone, you've earned your daily bread. Good night and so to bed.
You're in tune with Radio 3CR Community Radio. It's 10:30. Time for Let the Bands Play.